Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Meshagas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
It's just another Manic Monday. It's just another Manic Monday. Today's June 29th. Monday, June 29th, 2026. How's everyone doing today? Wow, stuff is dropping left and right. Bombs are being dropped. There's lots of tea. But we're coming back at 4:30 for that show, because at 4:30 we're focusing on Tully and everything that's coming out of the Karen Reed, Turtle Boy, Massachusetts State Police debacle. My head has popped off. It's somewhere. I think it's in Canada by now. If you were not here last night, what do you mean? Do I not sleep? Oh, do I not sleep? No, I sleep. I slept, girl. I slept. If you weren't here last night, yesterday, I arrived home from across the pond from my trip in London with my daughter. We went to see Harry Styles at Wembley, and boy, did we have an amazing time. Because not only did we see Harry Styles at Wembley on Saturday night, but we saw two shows on the West End. We saw Moulin Rouge, the musical, which was amazing. That's my background today. Go see it. And we also saw To Kill a Mockingbird, which is so timely and so perfect for so many of the things that we are covering in real world time today. Because not a lot has changed, it seems like, since Harper Lee wrote her book all the way back when. The setting of To Kill a Mockingbird, for those of you who have never read the classic, is approximately 1932-ish in Alabama. And it was fun last night, right? It was fun. We went over a lot of the papers that we missed. Aidan Carney's motion to unseal Proctor's communications that dropped via Rosemary Scapiccio, unleashing them into the world for Exhibit B to one of her motions. And then we found the actual screenshots of the actual messages between Proctor and Buchanan talking about how much they hate Turtle Boy and how much they fantasize about putting him in jail. So if you didn't think that was a targeted prosecution, and still is, you may want to rethink your position. But we're going to talk about all of that at 4:30, because this morning, what we are here to talk about is the new trial for Alec Murdaugh down in the the low country of South Carolina. And Alec trial, as you know, because meanwhile, we went over the, I don't know who's all caps in the, please don't come into my chat and solicit donations. I appreciate that. Don't do that for other. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to just delete it for now, but that's your first warning. We're mod short today because Scott has an appointment. And since we're going to be watching a video for much of this stream, it's going to be me, and I'm taking no prisoners today. I'm taking no prisoners. See, it's distracting. It distracts me from what I was here to talk about. Alec Murdaugh is getting a new trial. We went over the South Carolina Supreme Court decision ordering a new trial for Alec Murdaugh because of the jury interference by Colleton County court clerk Becky Hill. Remember, Becky Hill wrote a book. I have a copy of it. So does Scott. 25 years on the job, because I got it for him when I realized that They lied. They lied when they said they were taking it off of Amazon and they weren't going to sell it anymore. So I jumped on Amazon and bought us each a copy, and it's going to be a collector's item because if you go try and buy Becky Hill's book right now, it's really expensive. So Alec Murdaugh is getting a new trial. The conviction of Alec Murdaugh happened. Let's go back to my notes here. All the way back in 2023, before I was even on YouTube. Okay, so I never covered the case with you, which in some ways not so great because I don't know everything that happened during the trial, but in some ways it's kind of great because I can watch this trial with fresh eyes. So many of you know so much about the Alec Murdaugh case because you were there. You watched the whole trial with I don't know who. Tell me who you watched it with. And you know so much more about it than I do, which I love. And so when I ask for your help in the chat, please, please, please do not put something as fact in the chat about what happened at the first trial unless you actually know it for a fact. Courthouse Becky. Yeah, Courthouse Becky. There is another stream at 4:30, so I'm glad if you are confused and you thought this was at 4:30 Eastern. Now I'm on Eastern time instead of UK time. We're going to come back and talk about Telly then. Emily Baker. And I think I did watch Emily Baker when I was not on YouTube. So this is pre my YouTube days. This is pre-Em, pre-Melanie. And that is who I watched it with as well. I don't think Peter Tragos live streamed it, though. I mean, I'm talking about live streaming. Like when I watched actual testimony, I, too, was watching it with Emily Baker. And I was also on Duty Ron's channel, I think, a couple of times talking about Murdaugh. But Alec Murdaugh was convicted in March 2nd of 2023 by a Colleton County jury in South Carolina, the low country of South Carolina, where, ironically, the Murdaugh family had ruled the court system for something like a century before this. And in fact, I believe, now was it his grandfather's portrait that had to be taken down from the courtroom where his trial was? Because there was a portrait of his grandfather in the courtroom because, again, their lineage had been the Colleton County prosecutors, I think, for like a century before Alec Murdaugh came to be tried for the murder of his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, aka Paw, or as he began to call him during the trial, Paw. Alec Murdaugh was testified in his own defense. I do remember that he was a sniveling, crying mess because I do remember that part of the trial that I watched where he was like, there was like snot dripping down his face. He was a sniveling mess. And I do have a playlist on it linked below in the show notes. Oh, no, not in the show notes. I didn't put it in the show notes yet. But I've done a couple of streams on this case, starting out with the first stream that I ever did was the Mallory Beach wrongful death case. Remember, Paul Murdaugh was allegedly driving the boat crash in which Mallory Beach was killed. So the first stream I ever did on this, and it was a couple of years ago, was on the Mallory Beach wrongful death settlement against Parkers. So we've been covering it here and there. We covered the Becky Hill debacle, the writing of her book, the part of the motion for the new trial. And then just recently, when the Supreme Court of South Carolina granted Alec Murdaugh a new trial, we covered that as well. Yes, Becky Hill got probation only. It is wild to me that that woman is not in jail where she belongs or prison. But again, why did they go soft on her? I don't know. She got a deal, I think, right? Oh, please. Okay. So that is where we stand right now. But so we read the decision from the South Carolina Supreme Court together. We went over that and all of the reasons why Alec Murdaugh was granted a new trial. And even if you think he is among the worst of the worst defendants that you've ever seen, aside from, of course, Adam Montgomery and Letitia Stout, who both have also been granted new trials recently, if the system is going to work for every defendant, it needs to also work for the most horrific defendants. Alec Murdaugh may be among them. In your opinion? Adam Montgomery is definitely among them, in my opinion. Letitia Stout, again, that was PM, pre-Melanie on YouTube, so I didn't cover that case. But from what you guys tell me, she's also one of them. And I did believe, and I had said this from the beginning since I started covering this motion for a new trial, that I did think he should get a new trial and that he would get a new trial because no court clerk or anyone is supposed to interfere with the jury. And I thought even if she only spoke to one juror and only said one thing, that he 100% should get a new trial. That has come true and it's happening and I'm here for it. So today was the first conference in front of the new judge. It's been assigned to a new judge. And she is not having any of it. She wants to get this train on the tracks, and she wants to full steam ahead to this trial within a year. So we're going to be watching another Alec Murdaugh trial within a year, and I'm here for it. I'm here for every minute of it. I hope you are too, because a lot of that financial stuff is not going to come in the second time. My opinion, Alec probably won't testify the second time. And will the state of South Carolina have enough evidence against Alec Murdaugh for the murders of Maggie and Paul without that stuff coming in? I don't know, but I'm anxious to watch it. So I'm glad that some of you are here to watch it too. Many people are like, I'm never watching Alec Murdaugh again. I just don't care. And that's fine too. So let's go down to the Low Country. I'm sure they're going to want to change a venue and all that other stuff. He's still right. And he's still incarcerated for his financial crimes. And he's going to be there for a very, very, very long time. He likely will never see the outside of a jail cell regardless. But, there needs to be justice for Maggie and Paul, right? They announced right away that they were going to try him again. And I'm here for it. SLED had issues, right? Is SLED just as corrupt as the Massachusetts State Police? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. I agree too. I thought the Snapchat for me, Allie in Texas, that's what did it for me. The Snapchat did him in. And I say this in a lot of cases. It's always the social media that screws you, right? We saw another case recently where Snapchat was involved. But for me, it was the Snapchat video about him lying at being at the kennels. And then all of a sudden he's in the back of that Snapchat video. For me, that was it. Slam dunk. But for a lot of people, they may not feel that way. Justice for Stephen Smith too. Yes. Poor Stephen Smith. That is still an unsolved homicide. And I did talk about Stephen Smith's case a lot with Duty Ron, as I recall. And Libra Robin says, I oddly felt bad for those dogs. Thank you on top for your super sticker. And the Watcher says, I vote Becky pays for the new trial. Right. Thanks for being here for 17 months. And your profile picture has Petero on it. I love that. Minnesota Mama says, by all accounts, it would seem like Paul Murdaugh and Colin Albert have MO and parents who support their terrible behaviors. R.I.P. Paul. Yeah. I feel bad for Paul too. And I did watch the Hulu miniseries, which I did think was good, was really good, because Patricia Arquette. And I thought that the way they portrayed Gloria Satterfield was really nice. I thought it was really good. If you didn't watch the Hulu miniseries or limited series on Alec Murdaugh, watch it. And if you did watch it, let me know what you think. RB Vogel says the dog kennel Snapchat video put Murdaugh as guilty. They didn't have that video for over a year. It was the bombshell. For me, it was too. Craftastical really liked the series as well. And the actor who played Alec Murdaugh was amazing. I just have to look it up and see. I think his name is Jason Clark. Is his name Jason Clark, the actor who portrayed Alec Murdaugh? He was amazing. It's so hard to portray a real person as an actor because not only do you have to learn your lines and all that stuff, but you have to mimic the actual person to make it look realistic. And the way that he had down Alec Murdaugh's accent, his mannerisms, everything. His name is, let me see if I was right about that. Jason Clark. Wasn't he also the husband in The Staircase? Hold on, because now I need to look. Remember The Staircase about the guy who pushed his woman down the stairs and killed her? Maybe it was a different actor because I don't see it in his credits. Because those series kind of remind me of each other. His name was Jason Clark, and he's amazing. All right, let's go to, yes, right? Yes. A lot of people say Snapchat is what did it. Snapchat is what did it. The name of the series is It was on Hulu. Murdaugh, Death in the Family. It was a miniseries. Came out last year. And Patricia Arquette plays Maggie. Jason Clark plays Alec. And the kid who played Paul was amazing too. I thought he was really, really good. His name is Johnny Bechtold. He was really good because it's really hard as an actor to make a character who could be unlovable, lovable, and sympathetic. And I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a great job with that. Teresa, that's totally off topic, and I'm talking today about Alec Murdaugh at 4:30. We're going to come back and talk about a lot of other things, so we will do that when we come back later. If you want to save your question for later and come back, I welcome you to do that. All right, let's go into court and let's watch this hearing and see how this judge is and how she's going to be behaving. Some people said you had trouble hearing it, so I'm sure that we're going to have to boost the audio, but let's take a listen, see how it is. So far, going to see a lot of familiar faces here. Creighton Waters.
Please be seated. I see we have a full house. Good morning. Good morning. For those of you who've never been to Lexington County.
Well, the problem with this is that there's no captions. They're in Lexington County. Okay, hang on a second. Let's hear what she has to say before we boost it.
Welcome.
Seemed the best on Court TV. Let me see if anybody has put it up with fresh audio. So just give me a second. Because you know what happens when I boost it? It distorts it a little bit. So sometimes we just have to play around until we can find the best sound. And sometimes they release it after the fact, let's say, with better audio.
I see we have a full house. Good morning. Good morning. For those of you who've never been to Lexington County, welcome to the Lexington County Courthouse.
All right. Can you hear her okay, or does she need a little bit of a boost? Here, we're in Lexington County. This is Lexington County. Here's the judge. Her hair's a little bit longer than Judge Cannoni, but it's kind of like the same hairdo, right? Bangs, blonde. Blonde, bangs. You can hear? Well, let's just let it settle, because sometimes the attorneys have a mic, the court doesn't. Oh, but before we do that, let's read our motivational quote of the day. Jonathan Harnish said, and this is for June 29th, 2026. The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of the world, but those who fight and win battles that others do not know anything about. Want to hear that again? I know you do. Jonathan Harnish said, the strongest people are not those who show strength in front of the world, but those who fight and win battles that others do not know anything about. Here you go. For those of you who needed to hear that today. And we will also pull an affirmation for a badass, because we do that every day too. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on her yet because I haven't watched this. I wanted to wait for you guys so we could watch it together. Here's your affirmation for a badass. I am an effing masterpiece. There it is. All day. Say it to yourself over and over. I am an effing masterpiece. You're welcome. Fuck us. And because every now and then we need him to reaffirm, I am an effing masterpiece. Wait, where's that from, man?
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I'm an effing masterpiece. And so are you. So are you. All right, I'll put this right here so that I can gaze upon it all day as I repeat it to myself, as should you. You're a masterpiece. When I paint my masterpiece, one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs, also played lovingly by the Grateful Dead so many, 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 many times. I am an effing masterpiece. I have the Moulin Rouge background behind me today because why not? I saw the musical and I love it. I love it so much. Okay, welcome to the Lexington County Courthouse. And here we go.
The Lexington County Courthouse. Please. Can I get you a call? Are you ready to call? Can you call it? Give it right back to me. All right, we're here for a status conference. I'm gonna get the clerk to call the case, please.
In the matter of State of South Carolina versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, indictment number 2022 GS 15-00592 through 595.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Waters, how are you?
Morning, Your Honor. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Now, let me ask you, I know some of your counsel.
Okay. This is Judge Deborah McCaslin. Deborah McCaslin. She's the new judge that's going to be presiding over the case. There's Alec Murdaugh in his orange scrubs, his orange prison garb, sitting at defense table with his attorneys. She's going to handle everything involving the new trial and the motions and the retrial matters. And this is Lexington County. And we're here for it. She knows Mr. Mr. Warders. Everyone pronounces it like that down there. Mr. Warders. All right. Let's go back.
Now, let me ask you, I know some of your counsel at the table, but I don't know all of them. Can you please just let me know who the state's team is?
So I have David Fernandez, Assistant Deputy Attorney General David Fernandez. He's my number 2 in the state grand jury section. I have my boss, Mr. Don Zelenka.
I know.
We have John Metters as well.
I know Mr. Matters.
See you, Your Honor. You may see at various times. We have Assistant Attorney General Walt Whitmire, Senior Assistant Deputy Attorney General Melody Brown.
Right. Welcome.
Everybody's there.
Mr. Harpooling, can you tell me, I think I know just about everybody at your table, maybe not everybody, but can you introduce the defense?
Please report, Your Honor. This is Jim Griffin.
Mr. Griffin?
Bill Barber.
Mr. Barber, good to have you. Okay. All right. I've made some notes on a status conference, and I'll let y'all talk in just a little bit. But I want to go over what I want to go over. Because I want to make sure that all the discovery in this case is complete. And I made...
She's like wants a new trial like tomorrow. She wants to make sure they have all discovery. Oh no, I'm not making fun of Southern accents at all. I'm just noticing that Warders, it reminds me of the trial. It reminds me of this trial because everyone pronounces Warders the same way. I'm not making fun of it at all. I love the Southern accent. Love it. I love it. I love it. And you're going to hear Harpootlian say, like, this was 5 years ago, Judge. I don't remember anything about this case. I got to review everything. Like, I don't keep this stuff in my head. I have other cases too, you know. We have a South Carolina paralegal in the chat. Welcome. The one that got away. Not for any of these attorneys, thank God. All right. Do you know the judge? Deborah McCaslin. Dawn of Aquarius wants to know how long it's going to take for Poot to get on her last nerve. Well, we're here for it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Some notes, and let me tell y'all, I don't know anything about the first trial, so when you tell me something, please be complete. Can you tell me? Because don't assume that I know, because I don't. I want to know about phone records. Do we have all the phone records, and are they complete?
This surprised me a little bit. She knows nothing. She knows nothing about the first trial. So this is going to be really interesting. Not only am I going to learn about what happened during the first trial, the judge is going to learn about it too. And we are all going to learn about it together. And those of you who remember it, like clockwork, are going to relearn it again. But this judge has no idea. She's like, I don't know. Don't talk to me like I know. I don't know. Talk to me like I'm 5. But the first thing she asks about are the phone records. Tell me why. Tell me why you think the phone records. The first thing she asks about are the phone records. I want to hear from you who know all about this case. Poot is Harpootlian, lead counsel, defense counsel for Alec Murdaugh. Here she's, I'm going to try to stop talking because people are like, why do you talk so much? I don't really care. I stop and do it in real time instead of doing it afterwards because it's easier for me and my brain that is all over the place. Okay, here we go.
And let me tell y'all, I don't know anything about the first trial. So when you tell me something, please be complete. Can you tell me? Because don't assume that I know, because I don't. I want to know about phone records. Do we have all the phone records, and are they complete? Text messages, cell phone extractions, and if there's any supplemental extractions, video recordings, whether there's ballistic firearms, are we complete in that? Fingerprints, toxicology. I think there was a blood splatter expert last time. I just want to know where we are.
It's spatter. It's spatter. Ed's head would be popping off right now. It's blood spatter, Your Honor. Did she just say blood splatter?
With the oncology, I think there was a blood splatter expert last time. I just want to know where we are with these discovery items. I'll let the state address that, please.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. So we have provided, and obviously provided well in advance of the first trial, very extensive discovery. I'm not aware of anything in the items that you mentioned that have not been provided to the defense. And if anything, the defense has more than the state does, because a very heavy privilege review was done, for example, on Murdaugh's phone, him formally being an attorney, and that sort of thing. So it's my understanding complete extractions were provided to them, whereas the prosecution team, the investigative team, only received the privilege review some extractions as well as this phone and that sort of thing. As always, we're constantly auditing and looking at everything, but I'm not aware of any discovery from the very extensive productions that were made, not only from just the murder investigations, but also from the extensive state investigations as well. So we have provided those. Obviously, I'm not aware of anything in the county boards that you mentioned that are not provided to you.
And not anything that needs to be reanalyzed or anything that the court would be waiting on?
At this time, no. Now, as you're aware, and we, of course, sent our responses to everyone last night to the defense motions that were filed late last week. Came in the office Sunday to write those. That one of those is their request for independent testing on DNA. We put in our motion, and I actually got an email from Mr. Griffin this morning that if they want to have their defense expert reach out to SLED as to specifically what capabilities they think they have and what they're supposed to do, happy to facilitate those conversations and discuss those with the defense and then with Your Honor if necessary. Right now, that's kind of where we stand on that. And of course, any other issues that arise along those lines, we're very reasonable and we're perfectly willing to discuss those with the defense. And if there's something that we can't agree on, obviously we'll raise those.
Okay. All right, Mr. Harpootlian or Mr. Griffin?
I want to address everything but the DNA.
Right, I'll talk about the DNA later.
So we don't know what we don't know. And I'll give you an example. And let me hand this up to Your Honor and hand copies too.
Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. Written word pro. So you say you're a word pro and it says no, it's splatter. But no, according to forensics. In forensics, the correct and standard term is blood spatter, not blood splatter. Okay, Ed Wallace is our forensics expert, also on co-host with Duty Ron, and that is the proper forensic term is blood spatter. Did anybody watch Dexter? I mean, I just know that also, not just from listening to Ed Wallace, but also from Dexter. Thank you for playing.
Your Honor, this is a transcript of an interview done with a guy named Chapman and another officer who were the folks that arrived on the scene to begin with, to process the scene, and were very involved in the forensics of processing the scene. And if you go to page 6, Chapman, who's in charge of the scene, says this. This is a television interview on March 13th, 10 days after the verdict in this case. He says, in response to the question, I believe he had some help in the aftermath. Or Rutland, yes. Captain Chapman, you know, the disposal of weapons, the moving around a vehicle. We heard so much about the SLED and AG's office, they don't have anything. It's all circumstantial. So I posed this question to you. It was a clean crime scene, stage crime scene, clean crime scene. Would you expect to find more evidence or less? And that's what's kind of hard to get people to understand is we didn't find a lot. But why we didn't find a lot? Because it was clean. I mean, it was manipulated. There's evidence removed from the scene. Now, this is 10 days after the trial. This is not what Chapman testified to.
Oh, well, that's interesting. For those of you who did watch trial number 1, it's trial number 1 now. This guy Chapman said a whole bunch of stuff 10 days after the verdict. That is not what he testified to. That's interesting. Do you guys remember Chapman? I don't. If you're not into the case, that's totally fine. You can go. You don't need to announce your departure. This is not an airport. There are many people who are interested in the case, and we will be coming back at 4:30 to talk more about Tully and all of the Michigas that is Massachusetts. But right now, there's Alec Murdaugh. If you can come to your screen, take a look at him as he gazes at Poot like he's some sort of mama's lemon pound cake. He's looking at Poot like a lemon pound cake. There's lemon pound cake in the corner. If you know, you know. Talking about all the things that this guy Chapman said after the verdict that is completely contradicts his trial testimony. Let's listen to it again. Who cares what he said when he wasn't under oath? It is important, though. It's important because if he's going to take the stand again, he's going to be totally impeachable. Right? Let's hear that again because I think that is going to turn out to be important. All right, let's see what let's start from the beginning of his little monologue here.
Your Honor, this is a transcript of an interview done with a guy named Chapman and another officer who were the folks that arrived on the scene to begin with, to process the scene, and were very involved in the forensics of processing the scene. And if you go to page 6, Chapman, who's in charge of the scene, says this. This is a television interview on March 13th, 10 days after the verdict in this case. He says, in response to the question, I believe he had some help in the aftermath. Or Rutland, yes. Captain Chapman, you know, the disposal of weapons, the moving around a vehicle. We heard so much about the SLED and AG's office, they don't have anything. It's all circumstantial.
He said, I think he had some help in the aftermath. Listen, nobody ever thought this was coming back for a new trial, right? So I don't know who this guy Chapman did an interview with, but it seems like he was involved with the scene processing. And he's saying, I think he had some help in the aftermath. Gonna be interesting. This is one of the most gripping cases ever, says Elf. Yeah. And some people think he didn't do it. I'm going to be so curious to see if they have enough evidence to pin it on him this time. He was the first one at the scene. Oh, was he the one with the body cam video? Thank Josie Lou. Hi, Josie. Josie Lou knows everything about everything. Everything about everything. And she's spilling a lot of tea on the Karen Reed stuff too. And she's a deep diver and a rabbit hole faller into, same as me. Jason Chapman was the first police officer. Okay, so he's the first one, right, with the body cam footage that pulls up first. They're tromping all over the crime scene, etc. I remember. Okay, and he was portrayed also in the Hulu miniseries that I like. Okay, let's keep going.
We heard so much about the SLED and AG's office, they don't have anything. It's all circumstantial. So I posed this question to you. It was a clean crime scene, staged crime scene, clean crime scene. We'd expect to find more evidence or less. And that's what's kind of hard to get people to understand is we didn't find a lot. But why we didn't find a lot? Because it was clean. I mean, it was manipulated. There's evidence removed from the scene. Now, this is 10 days after the trial. This is not what Chapman testified to. And if Chapman has evidence, there were other people at the scene. That he had assistance under their theory, or there were other people there. We need to have that furnished to us. And we have other witnesses that testified at trial are saying something totally different, indicating there's evidence to believe that somebody else was at the scene, or there were other people at the scene. I mean, this guy's the chief guy in charge of the scene, along with Rutland, who processed it that night. We need.
Hey, blue-eyed girl, are you coming in here to fight with me? Like, are you trying to fight? Like, I'm not in the mood to fight today. Blue-eyed girl, 33. It's a Hail Mary die defense. It's a nothing burger. One can say whatever. It's what they say under oath that matters. You know this, Melanie. I'm going to just point out to you, I've never seen you in the chat before, that it can be used to impeach this guy. It's what they say under oath that matters. So are you saying that everything that somebody says after a trial, if you're the lead investigator in the case or the first on scene, if you're interviewed afterwards and you say things that are totally different from what you testified to, that it doesn't matter? Respectfully disagree, but I'm not in the mood to fight with you.
And we're in the process of doing this to determine if they state other reports. So we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't have. We need some period of time to try to process that. And Your Honor, I say this, and no emphasis on trying to, we're not alleging that the state has hidden anything from us. We do know there were people that came to see us that said they had important information. We have no ability to investigate. We don't have subpoenas. We don't have a grand jury. We don't have search warrants. And 2 or 3 of those people we sent to SLED. Did they follow up? One had extraordinary evidence about a tie-in between Paul's murder and the murder of a young man named Stephen Smith. But we had no, I can't compel anybody to come anywhere. We sent that to SLED. Did they investigate? And they investigated, and I must tell you, there are a lot of pieces of information out there that, and maybe they just stopped once they got the conviction, didn't do anything else, that it's inconsistent with our desire to get a conviction, have a conviction held. So they didn't follow it up. Maybe it does need to be followed up. But we're going to have to go back and look at all of that. We're going to have to determine whether or not additional material developed since the trial. And of course, all of us were shocked by the Clerk report's conduct in the trial. I know we were, I know the state was. But it's hard for us to go back and look at, and we haven't done a thorough check of all the testimony and read it all, not in the sense of an appeal, which we've done, but in the sense of, in criminal cases, we don't have depositions. We don't have them here. We have a transcript of but not every, I'm sure they're going to get rid of some of these witnesses who are horrible for example, around. We get additional witnesses. But most of the witnesses, we have their transcript, their deposition. We need to go back and read all of that. We need to get a sense of how you process, just like you do in a civil case. So I can't say that we've got it all. I can't say that we don't have it all. Again, I don't know what I don't know, but I think we will be diligent. And one of the other things we talked about is Alec Murdaugh's access to that information in a way that makes it convenient for him and doesn't inconvenience anybody else. We'll talk about that. That's another motion we'll talk about that.
I'll get to your motions in just a little bit. What I really want to know is about phone records, text messages, cell phones, video recordings, toxicology, fingerprints. You have all that discovery.
We're not sure. But we need to review it as if we were getting ready as brand new. I can't. We looked at it 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Doesn't mean we know we have it. And we'll be diligent in doing that. But certainly, I would think it'll take us some period of time to review that.
Yeah. No. I'll start out in during the trial.
Right. One of the points, reminding me, we did not have OnStar data on Mr. Murdaugh's vehicle until halfway through the trial. That is not the Attorney General's call. That is GMC's call. We're not furnishing it. We had to do that on the run. We want to go back and analyze that. Haven't had to go to analyze that even more. I do on the other side. The Attorney General got it at the same time we got it.
Tell me about the OnStar data and what it showed in the first trial, only if you really know the answer to that. Because they got it in the middle of trial. Oh, that sounds so familiar, doesn't it? They're not, again, he keeps saying, we're not saying you did anything improper or unethical. We're not saying that you did anything improper or unethical, but really we are. But we're really not saying that. He doesn't want to start off on the wrong foot with this new judge, Deborah McCaslin. They want to go back and analyze the OnStar data. I don't know what it showed. So it was GMC.
That is GMC's call. We're not furnishing it. We had to do that on the run. We want to go back and analyze that. Haven't had to go to analyze
On the fly.
that more. I do on the other side. The Attorney General got it at the same time we got it. No.
Good, excellent. OnStar showed that where Alex slowed down to throw out Maggie's phone. And PJ second chance, thank you. That was Chelsea. The speed that Alec was going where they found Maggie's phone. Interesting. Okay, all right. I'll allow it. Says, I'm definitely not convinced that Alec Murdaugh is the trigger man. Good, I want to know where you guys stand. Some of you are very obvious with where you stand. Some of you have an open mind. Nurse Not Lawyer said the data showed everything the car did, door open, close, location, etc. Did it have timestamps on it too? And location stamps? So it had location stamps and timestamps. Nurse Not Lawyer, because compare that with Karen Reed's alleged text stream data, right? Where everything was only sorted pursuant to key cycle numbers. There was no location, there was no time. Right? A lot of people say that the Celebrite information in the Murdaugh case is also relevant to Karen Reed and how it was so different in the Murdaugh case. So I'm interested in that too. So yes, Minnesota Mama says, yes, it had time and location stamps for everything that vehicle did. Why didn't Karen Reed's data have that? I'm interested in the forensics in this case and how they relate to other cases too. Let's keep going.
Inference anything improperly.
Okay.
So that's part of what we need to do. We need to hire additional experts based on some of the views we now have on some of the witnesses, both the state and the defense have.
Well, if Ian Whippen is available, you might be able to use him to show that Celebrite is totally inaccurate if they use Celebrite in Alec Murdaugh's phone extraction, because I think they did. So if Ian Whippen is available, that might be a good option for you guys, right?
And they need to examine those reports to determine whether we have it. So it's going to take a little bit of time, Judge. I can't tell you today we have everything, because we don't know.
Okay. Let me ask you, Mr. Waters, what about the OnStar data? Do you have all of that?
Yes, ma'am. So, Your Honor, we actually SLED had sent 2 search warrants to GM well in advance of trial and was told, you ain't got it. And I think what happened was during the course of the trial, we actually had the FBI buy a Suburban and essentially reverse engineer the black box in the Suburban in order to provide us telemetry data, which of course is all.
They reverse engineered a Suburban. Sounds a lot like what Welcher did in the Karen Reed case, buying that exemplar Lexus, right? This was a Chevy Suburban. I have questions. This goes back to 2021. It was like 6 months before the murder of John O'Keefe. This murder was in these murders, rest in peace, Maggie and Paul. June of 2021, John O'Keefe murdered. January 2022. Interesting.
Provided to the defense. I think when that testimony came out during trial, somebody at GM was watching and they were like, uh-oh. And so in the middle of the trial, I get a phone call saying, you know, about all that OnStar data, actually, we got a bunch of it. We immediately advised the judge, advised the defense, provided that to a usual form. They assisted and agreed to go forward because each hour.
Something funny, Mr. Murdaugh? He's got a little smirk on his face. And we just heard Mr. Waters say that in the middle of the trial, they got a call from somebody at Chevy. And they were like, uh-oh, we never responded to that subpoena. Uh-oh. Interesting. Let's get Alec's reaction again. If you can come look at your screen safely, please do so. Not if you're driving or on scaffolding without safety equipment.
Yeah, we got a bunch of it. We immediately advised the judge, advised all that defense. I think when that testimony came out during trial, somebody at GM was watching and they were like, uh-oh. And so in the middle of the trial, I get a phone call saying, you know, about all that OnStar data, actually, we got a bunch of it. We immediately advised the judge, advised the defense, provided that to a usual form. They assisted and agreed to go forward because each hour period about what happened. So that was nothing with the fault of the state, and we immediately engaged in what we needed to do to ensure the defense had access to all that information. After him saying, we don't know what we don't know, well, I know my obligations are, and if I have knowledge of something that's disclosable, then it's been disclosed. And so to imply that there's something out there, I mean, we're always constantly auditing that and doing our obligations, but I take discovery obligations very, very seriously. Knows that. As far as these musings, I haven't watched this TV interview. Musings of some captain about whether the scene was clean. Well, there was evidence presented at trial that there was standing water on the concrete pad of the kennels, that the hose was not put back the way that it normally was coiled by the person who was in charge of taking care of the kennels. So he may have been talking about that. But ultimately, while Colleton responded initially, the scene actually was in charge of the process by SLED, and they had access to all that information. So to sit here and imply, we don't know what we don't know, well, I'll recognize that, but I know that my obligation is to provide that information to the defense. And if I'm aware of it, then it's been provided. And we have done that. They've had it since well before the original trial, and we will continue to do that. And as he freely recognizes, the OnStar data came in late despite our best efforts, and was immediately disclosed to them at every opportunity to process that information, and then they agreed, you know what, let's continue on. So that's not anything, any sort of indication of a bad process or practice on both sides.
So the bottom line is they have everything that you have.
To my knowledge, yes, ma'am, and we were very careful about going through all that discovery.
And you don't know of anything else that needs to be analyzed at this time?
Well, again, we have that DNA.
The DNA, and I'm going to get to DNA in just a moment.
Okay, she's going to get to DNA in just a moment. I just want to correct this. Maddie Foley says his name is spelled Alec, but it is said Alex. Actually, it's the reverse. His name is spelled Alex, A-L-E-X, but he pronounces it Alec. So I just didn't want anybody to get confused. I'm not sure if you mistyped that, but that is actually, it is spelled Alex, A-L-E-X, but he pronounces it Alec.
Was analyzed ahead of time. I wasn't
right.
talking about some additional capability. As I expressed in our motion, and Mr. Griffin has responded, I'm happy to facilitate discussions, and if there's some capability out there that's beyond the capability of SLED, and it has a reasonable chance of providing some sort of analysis, then we're happy to do that. Now, of course, as we put in our motion, ultimately, there's absolutely no evidence that Maggie Murdaugh was in a struggle with anyone, that she had any sort of defensive wounds, that she was scratched, any sort of attacker. And we also know that it's very common how sensitive touch DNA is. We're constantly shedding DNA and picking up DNA from others by shaking hands and doorknobs and all the rest of it. So, this is a bit of a red hearing, but that doesn't mean that we are not willing to discuss with the defense anything that they want to do, and if reasonable, we'll be the first to do that. And if that needs to come back to this court, we'll do that as well.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
We know from testimony in the first trial that the chief SLED officer involved admitted he misrepresented things to the grand jury. Since the trial, the case was dismissed, in which he testified because the judge found he was hiding evidence and misrepresenting that. That's the chief officer. No longer SLED, but it raises questions with us, not whether it's been withheld by the state, by the prosecution, but did he give them everything he had? Did he do what he did in the subsequent case after the trial, where he had evidence? And I think we've got to go through it and look and say, are there gaps here? Are we missing something? And for us, and look, we want to try this case as quickly as possible. No question about it. But what we don't want to do is not be prepared based on what we now know happened at the first trial. And we'll have a motion probably next week to expand on that a little bit. We didn't feel we wanted such a motion.
Well, and I don't. I really wanted to go over and see where we were with discovery. I want to set a timeline. I want to set out some pretrial conferences, and I want to set a trial date. That's why we're here today. And I want to go over some of these motions. I think some of them are not substantive, that I could go ahead and rule on those today and be done. And I will set up a pretrial. I'll give y'all some dates and hope you brought your calendars. And we'll set a pretrial. I don't know.
Jennifer says, right, but they have had it this whole time. So why haven't they hired people to analyze it? Well, because this new trial was just granted very recently. It was just granted like within the last month. So they weren't going to analyze evidence when they didn't know whether or not he was going to get a new trial. So I get what you're saying, Jennifer. But again, you know how long it takes to get this kind of stuff done. And now is the first conference for the new trial. And so now this is when the timeline will start from here on out. Yeah, I just noticed, thank you for pointing out that I did spell his name wrong in the title. So I've changed it to Alexander Murdaugh instead of Alec. That is spelled Alex. It's confusing, but that is what it is. Alec Murdaugh. That's how he pronounces it.
That one pretrial is going to do it for this case. We'll probably have several. And that's fine. The court's amenable to anything that y'all need. And happy to hear what you have. If you find something, Mr. Harpoolian, that you need to bring to the court's attention and you want to file a motion, I am more than happy to hear it. Okay? All right, so let me move on to my next notes. And
look at how beautiful this courtroom is. This is a beautiful courtroom over there in Lexington County, South Carolina. Mahogany, everything's mahogany. It's very distinguished. It looks newer than some of the older courtrooms that we've seen. There is a portrait above the judge. I'm not sure who that man is in the portrait. I'm sure he's a very distinguished jurist as well. But this is really, it's a beautiful courtroom.
we've kind of touched on it a little bit. Experts. Do you know how long? And the reason I'm just asking is because I do want to set a trial date. Believe it or not, overnight when I was assigned this case became the oldest case on my docket. And anybody who knows me knows that I will move an old case.
She's already on this. She's like, all of a sudden I was reassigned this case. This is the 2021 murder. This is now the oldest case on my docket, which is wild because We see cases in Massachusetts like Miles King and others where it takes more years than that for a criminal defendant to be tried and either acquitted or convicted or hung, juried, or given a mistrial. And so the fact that this is the oldest case on her docket says a lot about her. She's going to push this case like nobody's business. She wants a new trial and she wants it now.
And to do that with this one. So I'm asking Mr. Waters, expert witnesses, do you know how long you need to get expert witnesses and talk to people and get everything that you need for the prosecution of this case?
Yes, ma'am. So the vast majority of our experts will be SLED. So I think that, we
If you can't hear him, he's saying is the vast majority of his experts are going to be SLED.
You're ready, within reason, of course, to move this as expeditiously as possible. We do have another expert that testified from the FBI and things like that, but much of that is the same. And so, as far as the state's position as to scheduling, and I know we've already sort of stated this publicly, that we were trying to do this before the end of the year, like before the end of the year, we're ready to go. So I'm not aware on the state side of any expert issues that provide for additional delay.
All right, Mr. Harpootlian, how about for the defense?
John, we have 8 expert witnesses. All of them are new. All of them are just beginning to get the information they need. The DNA, when we are told, may take up to 6 months.
6 months for DNA. They've got 8 experts. All of them are new, he said. All of them are new. Quilting Queen pointing out, I like that the judge says, I want. In other words, I'm the boss. Don't play with me. Yep. 8 experts. They're all new. Could take up to 6 months for the DNA. Talk to me about the DNA in the chat.
Unlike what's been represented by the state, critical, and Griffin will address the specifics of that in just a moment. But to buy this case this year, you guys were talking about going to the death penalty 4 months ago or 3 months ago. To try it before the end of the year cannot be done for us to be adequately prepared. And we talked about the laptop. Without the laptop, we can't do it next year. If we have to go down there and take in the bank box at the time to read documents, almost 20,000 pages of documents. So we came up with a way to
20,000 pages of documents is only half of the amount of pages in Michael Proctor's phone extraction, I'd like to point out. 20,000 pages of documents. I think Michael Proctor's phone extraction, when printed out, was something like 44,000 pages of documents. So ain't no big whoop, Mr. Poot. We're pretty sure you can figure that out. Can he find a mic? No, apparently he can't find a mic. And that is why I just remembered to turn on the closed captions. So thank you for reminding me. But here you go. There's a laptop involved. He's like, I can't do it by the end of the year. I'll take this back a little bit. And we're talking about the death penalty here. Take it back. DNA could take up to 6 months. Here, the captions are on now for your convenience.
Griffin will address the specifics of that in just a moment. But to buy this case this year, you guys were talking about going to the death penalty 4 months ago or 3 months ago. To try it before the end of the year cannot be done for us to be adequately prepared. And we talked about the laptop. Without the laptop, we can't do it next year. If we have to go down there and take in the bank box at the time to read documents, almost 20,000 pages of documents. So we came up with a way to
Well, surely, Mr. Harpootlian, he reviewed those before his first trial, did he not?
5 years ago. I mean, it's just a judge. I can't remember a case I tried 3 months ago when the material was on. I mean, it's ridiculous to require him, not with all due respect, to require him to have a memory of each document that he looked at almost 5 years ago. And by the way, our solution to that, I'm afraid, Mr. Mr. Waters' motion is ironclad, no chance of it being distributed. We'll give them a laptop. It's encrypted. Since there's no attorney-client on it, corrections can look at it.
Okay, so they want to give him a laptop with the 20,000 pages of discovery so that he can review it. Gravel. So SLED, somebody said is SLED like the MSP. Yeah, it's South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. It is the state police. Gravel Gertie says if SLED was corrupt, they would have protected Murdaugh, not the other way around like MSP. I'm going to just disagree with you here to say that Alec Murdaugh is not law enforcement, was not law enforcement. He's an attorney. His family had ruled the Low Country for something like a century, and a lot of people hated the Murdaugh family. And so is it possible that SLED could be corrupt and pin it on Murdaugh because they hated him and his family? Remember, he had a badge. Remember, he went into the hospital flashing his badge around. He would go to crime scenes when they first happened. There could have been a lot of hate for him. I don't know. I'm just pointing it out, that it could be the other way around. He's not a cop, right? If you didn't hit the like button, please hit it now. Pin it on Bo. Pin it on Bo, says Nicole like Do Re Mi. And Sup Bo has a name for this trial because he called everybody Bo, B-O. It's like, dude, is that like saying man or dude in South Carolina? School me. Sup Bo. And I'm not saying that it's true because I don't know enough about it yet. I'm looking at this with a set of fresh eyes, and a lot of people were afraid of the Murdaughs and hated them. Even Becky, the court clerk, hated Alec Murdaugh, and that's why she did what she did. And that's why he's getting a new trial. Becky Hill could have kept her flipping mouth shut. We probably wouldn't be here. Right, he had cop lights on his vehicle and everything. So I'm going to try and keep an open mind. A lot of people are so convinced and have such strong opinions that this guy's 100% guilty. I don't know, because like I said, I didn't dive into it the way I dove into Karen Reed, right? So let's keep watching.
SLED can look at it. Anybody can look at it. And let him look at it without us having to take hard copies of stuff down there and review it with him. You can't leave it with him under the court order. You just can't take him to discovery and leave it. The court order prohibiting that. And I'm sure the warden does not want boxes and boxes of stuff sitting in his. But if we have that, and he could be reviewing these documents as an expert as we're reviewing them. I mean, let's not forget, he's a lawyer. Now, he's a disbarred lawyer, but he has probably more trial experience than many of the folks on either side of it. So he understands what he's looking at. Much better.
He's right about two things. He's a lawyer. Alec Murdaugh, the defendant, is a lawyer. He's a disbarred lawyer, he said. But he's got more trial experience probably than anybody in this room. And that's true because as the, I don't know, what did they call him? Like the special prosecutor or the solicitor of Colleton County. And he was also a personal injury lawyer. And he was trying cases all the time and getting huge verdicts and huge settlements. That's why he was able to steal so much money from his law firm without anybody really noticing at first. But he does probably have more trial experience than anybody in that room. And ironically, and he's going to be able to go through that discovery faster than any other, regular run-of-the-mill garden variety criminal defendant facing murder charges for the second time. Solicitor. Yeah, it was solicitor, right? Thank you, Jenna Leah.
Than any client I've ever had. But he understands what he's looking at. Much better than any client I've ever had. So I think it's important if you're going to try to expedite this for him to have, and we can talk about the laptop separately, but that's going to be a condition. It's going to take us at least 6 months to get these folks staying, have them look at the adequate material, look at the state's testimony the first time around. And of course, if they have a change in who they're using, taking a different approach, we need to know that as soon as possible. I would point out that they were giving us discovery in the last case after the first week of trial, in the second week of trial. So we can't have that happen again. They say they got it all. We're going to assume we have it all unless they want to supplement it. They supplement it sooner rather than later. That allows us to that. I mean, I think what we probably ought to try to do is figure out a trial date and then back up from that. What we're comfortable with is late spring, early summer next year.
Okay.
We can live with that. Given, we have to go down there, one of us has to go down there 5 days a week. And you are incarcerated on now, so it's 2.5 hours. It's a half an hour to get in. So before you even see it, it's 3 hours. And then you only have 3 hours with them. And then it's a 3 hour trip back. That's why the laptop is so important.
Okay. Mr. Griffin,
That's the thing about prisons. They're usually far away from anywhere. So if it takes you 3 hours to get to see your client and then 3 hours back, I don't know. Sounds like a you problem. But I'm in Bo heaven. Somebody said it's short for boy. Sup, Bo. Sup, Bo too says I'm in Bo heaven. It's short for boy. Bo? If you're from the South, and you know for certain, like May said, Bo is shortened for boy. Like, what's up, boy? I'll allow it. I'm starring many of your comments for later so we can talk about them together. Your theories and your opinions.
then you'd like to add as to experts?
I have been in contact with the DNA lab in Houston. I can talk more about that. But when I mentioned that, they were asked, how soon do you need it? And I said, well, hopefully we're looking at a spring, early summer trial date. And the answer was, well, we need to put a rush on it. And I can talk more about the lab if Your Honor wants to hear it. I mean, they are.
I'll get to the DNA in just a minute. And then we'll go forward on that. All right, let me talk about this computer at the Department of Corrections. I did receive your response, Mr. Waters, yesterday at 5. Did you get the opportunity to look at that, Mr. Harpelian? Okay. I mean, basically, I just made myself some notes. You were concerned about the state grand jury material, and talked about a protective order, and some other issues. I agree, about there are some sensitive issues. The state grand jury material is protected, and should be protected. And then you mentioned an order that Judge Newman had. I kind of think, Mr. Waters, that when this case was reversed, that order goes out the window and we might need a new order for this case. It's my understanding that the order stated that the grand jury material is secret. And I mean, that's pretty straightforward. And I know that you would like to prohibit the digital dissemination of the state grand jury material, that there's no photocopying, scanning. I breezed through this. You don't want any digital copies. And all of this, while it doesn't prohibit the defendant from reviewing the case materials, you want the attorneys to make sure that they keep in their possession the state grand jury material. Is there any objection to that, Mr. Harpelian?
Your Honor, the issue of that is what is the state grand jury material? I think, if we can designate what that is. It's beyond grand jury testimony, there's very little of that in the discovery. I think they've gotten things through grand jury subpoenas that have been produced, underlying records and whatnot. And so, is that really sensitive grand jury material and some of us introducing evidence at the trial? I'm sure of that. But so no question about grand jury testimony. We have no issues with that, but it's just hard to say what exactly are grand jury materials when a lot of the subpoenaed documents and information have been produced.
And Your Honor, the issue is dissemination. I mean, he has a right to read.
Oh, absolutely. I said that. It does not prohibit him from reading it.
Dissemination. I mean, we're just basically talking about the big Kindle. You can read on it. You can't.
We're basically talking about a big Kindle, Your Honor. Okay, boomer. A big Kindle. You can't send emails. It's not connected to Wi-Fi. It's just like a reading device for him to be able to read the discovery on his Kindle. He's not going to be able to, sign into OnlyFans or anything like that or watch YouTube. It's just basically paper on an electronic device so they don't have to transport 20,000 pages to him. The thing that is most popular in the chat right now is whether it's Beau, B-O, or Beau, B-E-A-U, and whether it is a term of endearment, short for boy, or it's a term of intimidation, or bless your heart. So I'll have to do my own deep dive into that, but let's move on. Here we go.
Send email. It's not connected digitally or cell or Wi-Fi to anybody. It can be. Let me say this: the Department of Corrections has been extraordinarily professional in dealing with us, giving us access to that. And no complaints with them whatsoever. But what we like that laptop with the warden and corrections to have total access to it. It can be inspected by SLED to make sure that it can't transmit an image, a message, can't be used in any way. There is no Wi-Fi at this particular institution, so it has to be by self-service. I mean, these are not difficult technical issues. And if they're concerned about grant,
there's not even any Wi-Fi at all at the prison. He just said there's no Wi-Fi at all. Noel still can't unsee that shirtless selfie that happened.
Jury testimony, you have to take that out. That's a very difficult percent of what we want him to look at. And we can certainly do that separately with hard copy. We have to go out there and do that.
Well, let me tell you. Mr. Waters, let me hear from you first.
Yes, ma'am. So we really, as far as the protective order, we really have two things. There was the state grand jury investigation, and ultimately there was the standard protective order for that. He's pled guilty to all those offenses. There's nothing reproach about that. But necessarily, as that state grand jury investigation was going, things came up that were ultimately relevant to murder. So it's much bigger than they say. I don't have the number in front of me, Your Honor, but it was at least 20 witnesses, multiple subpoenas. And so all of this has been dynamic. And as well as Judge Newman issued a second, my recollection, protective order as it related to just sort of the murder evidence as well. So they're two separate things, but they all blend together. So all of this evidence is sensitive. On top of that, the murder evidence is in fact very, very sensitive. And frankly, we've been trying our best to protect it from improper dissemination because it's worth a lot of money. Now, one thing SCDC is adamantly opposed to, okay, is having an inmate have a laptop. They are absolutely 100% opposed to that. And I have to remind you that this is an individual who already had his tablet privileges taken away from misuse of that. This is an individual who was caught receiving contraband that was passed from a family member through the defense to him. And so this is not a guy who is, and this is also a guy who's been convicted of over a decade of fraud. Now, they say that these things.
Yeah, he was convicted over a decade of fraud, and I agree. He's one of the most despicable, horrible human beings ever. He gives every lawyer on the face of the planet a horrible name because the last thing you ever do is cheat your clients out of money, steal your clients' money. He's a despicable, horrible, disgusting human, and he's doing a lot of time for those financial crimes, and he's likely never going to see the light of day because of those financial crimes and the sentences that he received for that anyway. But, and I'm just tossing this out there because I am going to do a poll. Can't both things can't be true? Can't he be the most despicable human being on the face of the planet because he stole his clients' money and swindled them and cheated them, and these were clients that he chose to represent and protect and was supposed to be in a fiduciary relationship with these people, and instead he stole their money and he swindled them and he did everything horrible. And a lot of people think that he killed Maggie and Paul because Paul was going to go to jail anyway, and he was disgracing the family name, and they had financial issues and everything like that. But what I would like to do is take a poll because I'm genuinely curious to see how many people think he's 100% guilty, and whether some of you have an open mind and are going to wait to hear the evidence, or perhaps some of you believe that he is 100% not guilty and that someone else did it and that he wasn't the trigger guy. And so I'm curious. So let's create a poll. What should we ask? Do you think AM is, all right, first one is gonna be hella guilty. Second one is gonna be absolutely not guilty. And this, remember, this is of the murders of Maggie and Paul. Absolutely not guilty. Guilty but reasonable doubt, preventing a conviction. Oops. And then the last one will be, I have an open mind. And if you're just coming into this trial for the first time, I'm not going to tell you what you should. All right. So do you think Alec Murdaugh is hella guilty? Number one. Absolutely not guilty. Number two. Guilty, but there's enough reasonable doubt that he shouldn't be convicted, especially now with the new parameters on what's going to come into the trial, like the financial crimes is probably not going to come in at all, and he's probably not going to testify. Or I have an open mind. There you go. And there's your poll. You asked for it. You got it. Okay. Yeah, because remember, all of the evidence on the financial crimes made him look like even more of a scumbag. I mean, 100%. If the jury didn't know about that or didn't hear about any of that, would they have come to the same decision? It's hard to say, right? I mean, is he just like dumb enough that he would have hired somebody else to do it and then come upon the scene first? Like Cousin Eddie? Remember when he had Cousin Eddie shoot him on the side of the road? I remember when this happened in real time. When he had Cousin Eddie come and shoot him on the side of the road. And I was like, oh my God, that is such a setup. It was like 100% a setup. Like maybe he was involved, but not the triggerman. I genuinely don't know. That's why I want to look at this fresh. All right, so let's keep going back to the Kindle.
Be locked down and managed safety. I understand these issues very well. The state grand jury made a point to partner with SCDC to fight the problem of fraud and corruption emanating from there, and it's done with the use of devices. This is a very severe security issue, and no matter what protections are put in place, there's always ways around this, and SCDC has experience with that. So, the fact.
Hold on a second. Really? Creighton Waters is seriously arguing that there's a way around the security measures with the Kindle and that there's no way that it can be locked down because he's been convicted of fraud and he's just a fraudulent kind of guy. So he's going to be able to get around then you need to lock down your system a little bit tighter, sir. You don't even have Wi-Fi. How is somebody going to give him like a MiFi thing in prison too? That's not saying very much for your prison system. Listen to this argument or read the captions if you can.
And so this is not a guy who is, and this is also a guy who's been convicted of over a decade of fraud. Now, they say that these things can be locked down and made through the safety. I understand these issues very well. The state grand jury made a point to partner with SCDC to fight the problem of fraud and corruption emanating from there, and it's done with the use of devices. This is a very severe security issue, and no matter what protections are put in place, there's always ways around this, and SCDC has experience with that. So the fact remains is he's an inmate, and SCDC is adamantly opposed to there being some laptop that he has access to. And for this idea that SLED is going to be able to review, attorney communications and work product on that, I don't understand how that's going to happen. Now, SCDC's
I don't know if there's going to be attorney work product on it. He's just saying, I want to give him the 20,000 pages of discovery. That discovery is not work product. There's not going to be communications between Alec and his attorney on this. Like, I don't think Creighton Waters is understanding what this thing is. Okay. And they're saying SLED can look at it at any time, but he does have the constitutional right to participate in his own defense. And as a trial lawyer of many, many decades, he's got a skill set that could help him in his own defense. And he should be entitled to review his discovery instead of having to go into a room where there's boxes and boxes and boxes of 20,000 pages. And if you have a security problem in your prison, that's probably a bigger problem than whether or not Alec will have access to WordPerfect. Thank you, Squeaky Blue Shoes. And that's exactly what this is. BJ, but no bear says you can get Kindles that do not have cell ability, Wi-Fi only, but this doesn't even have Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi at this prison, they're telling us. And all it has loaded onto it is going to be the discovery. And he's there. And his attorneys are saying, Jim Griffin is saying, SLED can look at it. Like all it's going to have on it is the discovery. And he's not going to be able to do anything except review his discovery. There's no Wi-Fi there.
Happy to accommodate defense. I don't understand how that's going to happen. Now, SCDC is happy to accommodate defense and to any meetings they have. And no one says that the defense can't bring down digital evidence to review with them while it's under their supervision.
Oh, really? They're going to have to babysit him while he reads this stuff? Pooch just told you that it takes 3 hours to get down there, and they're only allowed to stay for 3 hours, and then it takes them 3 hours to come back. Didn't he just say that? So you need us to babysit him while he reviews the digital discovery? That's a little bit ridiculous. See if the judge even rules on this.
Then take it with them when they leave. That is absolutely the way it should be. That ultimately this information, whether state grand jury or not, it's too sensitive to have an inmate, despite what protections are put in place, have a laptop. Because frankly, the reality is inmates are constantly and successfully violating whatever protection. Despite everyone's best efforts, you're doing a great job. It's just a mystery.
Okay, sure.
I had a serious email, and I don't see the Department of Corrections here today. I had an email chain with the ward at a particular institution, and he doesn't raise those objections. He just, and we bring another laptop, we can't have cellular or Wi-Fi capabilities. So, and that's what this says. So
apparently the warden doesn't have a problem with it, according to his emails with the warden.
And with all due respect to the Department of Corrections, if we don't get the ability, I mean, if Mr. Griffin and I, or Mr. Barber, or Ms. Fox have to go down there, 3 hours down, sit with him for 3 hours, 3 hours back, we're talking about at least the end of next year, not the beginning of the following year, to get this report. We can't be working on experts, and we can't be interviewing witnesses while we're tied to sitting there and babysitting him while he's reading a laptop that doesn't have any capability to communicate or talk. And we'll be happy to have SLED inspect it. We'll be happy to have the Department of Corrections inspect it. But, the idea, we bring laptops in. We were given, as you can see, permission to bring laptops in. Laptops are brought in all the time. The question is, can he keep, not he, but can the warden keep it, or some office at the institution keep it and give it to him when he needs it? And Your Honor, I gotta say, the idea of bringing him in here chained up, the idea of not letting him have access to a laptop, the idea of opposing everything we're trying to do to expedite this process. I understand it's Mr. Waters' job to legally prejudice the defendant, but this is beyond the pale. This is beyond the pale. I'd ask you to remind Mr. Waters that he has an ethical duty to see that justice is done, not get a conviction. Thank you.
I love how they're having a very Southern gentlemanly sort of pissing match right now. It's like it's like they're bless your heart kind of way, how they disparage each other in open court, but trying to be like a nice way. But he does also have the right to come to court in street clothes. We've seen that for every defendant, every trial that we've ever watched. When they come into court for their conferences, think Brian Walsh. Even in Massachusetts, they're allowed to come in regular clothing because they know this is going to be all over the internet. People worldwide are watching. And if he's sitting there in his orange scrubs, it makes him look hella guilty, right? It's also a death penalty case. Okay. They have said, right, that they're going to seek the death penalty. I don't know if they've ever retracted that, But this time they're going for the death penalty. They said that they were going to. I don't know if they've retracted that or not, or that they were thinking about it. I don't know if they've made their final decision on that. And so no matter how much you hate Alec Murdaugh and you think he's hella guilty, he does have constitutional rights, right? If the system's going to work for one, it has to work for all, even the most despicable. I mean, for the love of the traveling Mary and tiny Jesus and Mary, Adam Montgomery, the scummiest of the scum, is getting a new trial, okay? And so I think that he should be entitled to wear street clothes to court and review his discovery. That's my opinion.
Mr. Harper, raising that.
I don't.
And that,
Okay, we're not going to go there, but you,
and I have no intent to prejudice anyone. Prejudice suggests a decision on the improper basis.
and the court doesn't take it that way, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let me tell both of you. I took the liberty of calling the warden
Oh,
and talking to him about
oh, really?
the laptop situation. And because I too used to practice law, I remember terabytes of discovery that I had to carry to my clients to go
Oh, gosh.
see. And I know that it can be cumbersome, and I would imagine the discovery in this case is a lot. How many pages do we have, Mr. Waters?
It's very extensive. It's
Half of a terabyte. Okay. I talked to the warden. He will not allow a laptop.
Oh,
And for safety reasons, he said he would, quote, make available a conference room. Council may bring their computer. They could have a law clerk come, or the attorneys could come themselves. They could look at it. He could review his discovery. They could bring their own laptop. However, somebody must be with him. His
Crazy.
concern was having a laptop in his cell.
you know what else? That involves money. It involves money. If he's got to have a lawyer with him or a law clerk or somebody who's paid by the hour to sit with him to review discovery, do you know how much money that's going to cost? That's insane. Even convicted Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann, who has just been sentenced for the murders of 8 women here on Long Island, was allowed to go to the conference room and review his discovery for several hours a day without a lawyer being present. That's kind of crazy to me. They may have to, what if they print up the 20,000 pages and then give him a box and he has a certain number of hours a day to review his discovery? That might be a better option than forcing him to have a babysitter who's a lawyer, who's very highly paid and gets paid for travel too. I don't know.
No other inmate has a laptop in their cell. They do have access to an iPad that has Westlaw on it. Now, I just have to be honest with you. I didn't even think about asking him if you could download any discovery on that iPad. I don't know if that's available, but I certainly will call and check and see if that's acceptable to him.
Look at her getting so proactive and actually picking up the phone to call the warden. Yeah, they have said the death penalty is on the table, and they have not said that they have withdrawn that. So yes, as of right now, the death penalty is on the table. Thank you, Pat Ray, because I too Googled it while I was sitting here in case there was something I missed.
If that's the case, sir, I'm going to have Mr. Waters draw me up a proposed order on the state grand jury material. I haven't looked at Judge Newman's yet, but I will. Please run that proposed order by Mr. Harpoolian and Mr. Griffin. I will check on the downloading on an iPad, but I'm not going to allow him.
They don't have Wi-Fi. Didn't they just say they don't have Wi-Fi? How can they even get access to Westlaw if they don't have Wi-Fi? Those two things can't be true, right? Westlaw is web-based. You need Wi-Fi to access Westlaw. I don't care. I need to know, says, is he the only inmate preparing for trial? That's a good question. How many of them are facing a retrial that are already incarcerated in the state prison? Is it possible to give him a thumb drive of all that stuff and have that downloaded onto an iPad? Maybe. That could be an option. Didn't they just say there is no Wi-Fi at the prison? Written Word Pro. Did I misunderstand that? They have an intranet. I don't know what contraband he's already been caught with. But according to Mackenzie Sherril's mom, contraband could be anything. It could be just a hairbrush that's not yours. It could be contraband.
To have a laptop computer in his cell. It's for safety reasons. That's out of my control. I think it's not only for the safety of the others at the institution, but probably, Mr. Murdaugh, for your own safety. Okay?
We're not proposing he have it in his cell. We're proposing that the warden have it and give it to him to go to a conference.
Okay, he's saying we're not proposing that he has it in his cell. We're proposing that the warden has it and that he can go into a conference room and look at it. John Trott, 420, says, I spent 5.5 years in South Carolina Department of Corrections. I hope it wasn't for pot, possession of marijuana, like your name suggests, 420. You can definitely go online without Wi-Fi hotspot off a contraband phone. Is he being held at Kirkland? I'm not sure. But somebody in the chat, if you know where he's being held, tag John Trott, 420.
Is he good with us to look at it there? Does that make a difference?
Well, I'll ask him. But when I read your email here, this seems like he could go to his cell. He could keep it in his cell. I know good and well that the warden is not going to allow that. I talked to him personally. Okay. We'll follow up on that in our next pretrial. Or if I can, I'll probably let you know before pretrial. But if he says no and it's for security reasons, then the answer is no. I'm not going to allow it. Do you understand, Mr. Harpelian? Mr. Waters? He'd let a paralegal go. All he wants is the name of the person, and you're more than happy. And he said he's not going to limit you to 3 hours. They can stay 8 hours if they want. He will make a conference room available so he could see the material. It does not have to be a lawyer.
I don't know. Mother Marcia says, we here in South Carolina are as passionate about his guilt as the residents of Massachusetts are of Karen's innocence. I don't know. Is there anybody here from South Carolina who disagrees with that? And I'm just curious, genuinely curious. And if you could, and you're watching, and there's over almost 3,400 of you here right now, if you wouldn't mind voting in the poll, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's see what we have so far. There's only about 1,100 votes. So if you could vote, please. The choices are this. Do you think, sitting here today, Alec Murdaugh is hella guilty, absolutely not guilty, guilty but reasonable doubt, or I have an open mind? Please vote. For those of you who did not watch the first trial at all, your answer should be I have an open mind, because every defendant is guaranteed the presumption of innocence. And as of right now, he sits there innocent because he's been given a new trial. He's still incarcerated because of his other financial crimes, but I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I am curious as to what you guys think. Okay. All right. Moving on. People say they have reasonable doubt because where'd the guns go? All right. Moving on.
Your Honor, I spoke with the director of Federal Counsel this morning and they expressed the same thing. We're here to facilitate the defense doing that.
Right. You know, I want him to have all his discovery. He's entitled to all of it. You know, it's safety concerns. It's.
Your Honor, we're 100%.
If you can have a law clerk or a paralegal go down, then you're satisfied, Mr. Harpelian, that'll help you out?
Still dramatically, if you're not limited to 3 hours, it makes that 2.5 hour trip down and 2.5 hours back worthwhile.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, then I will verify that and send y'all an email tomorrow on that. That's okay. All right, perfect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Now, let me go through. I had a motion filed for the defense, and I just want to put this on the record. The defense wanted the defendant to be unshackled in the courtroom. I received a response from the state. They objected. Then I had a response from Mr. Harpootlian where he withdrew that motion. That still stands, Mr. Harpootlian?
Yes, Your Honor, although we may renew the motion, the reason for this is potential jurors are watching this right now. It's going to be, wherever this goes, it's going to be difficult to get a jury. And to the extent that parading him around in a jumpsuit shackled like an animal impacts their view, it's going to make it more difficult for us to get a jury.
If you live in Lexington County, South Carolina, and you could be part of this jury pool, just put a 1 in the chat. Only if you currently live in Lexington County, South Carolina. That's his argument. You're all watching. That's his argument.
Now, again, Mr. Waters' argument is specious. He's not dangerous. The only thing he can convict of is stealing money. Now, Judge Newman let him come to the courtroom in street clothes and unshackled. I know Mr. Waters feels compelled to get every advantage he can, but this is one that I think this is our ability to get a jury. So I would ask that he be allowed to come in the courtroom unshackled in, I will call them street clothes. Now,
So are you renewing your motion now? Just want to make sure.
what I wanted you to see today.
Oh, he has him stand up. He's like, I want you to see him today. I think he's got waist, wrist, and leg shackles. Again, they're not doing a great job with the audio, but they're doing a better job than we have sometimes. So far, we have at least 3 residents of Lexington County in the chat. We got 3 so far. We got 3 potential jurors here. Here we go. So don't put your thoughts in the chat if you're one of those 3. They could hold it against you. Standing up.
Chained around the waist, chained with the hands, chained on the feet.
Ankles, wrists, and chained around the back. Shackled like an animal. Some people are saying, well, he is an animal.
This guy is not a serial killer. He's not, Ted Bundy.
You could sit down, Mr. Miller.
He's not Ted Bundy. He's not Ted Bundy. No, but he's a fraudster, and he's been convicted of felonious financial crimes. But again, those are white-collar crimes, right? Right now, he sits there. He's getting a new trial. His convictions on the murders are vacated, okay? He sits there convicted of white-collar crimes and horrific ethical violations as a disbarred, disgraced, disgruntled attorney. Okay, there are 4. We got 4. We got 4. And the judge is like, sit down. You can sit down. You can sit down, Mr. Murdaugh.
Not, Ted Bundy.
You could sit down, Mr. Miller.
Ted Bundy.
Always convicted. He was accused of killing his wife and son. But he was accused of killing his wife and son, and Judge Newman allowed him to come unshackled in his street clothes every hearing he had.
All right, Mr. Waters, I did read your response, but I'll be happy to hear anything and I'll take it under advisement.
Well, again, they withdrawn the motion and now they.
Now they,
This goes back to, it's not the state's fault. He's an inmate serving a 27-year sentence, okay? This is, again, SCD.
It's not the state's fault that he's an inmate serving a 27-year sentence, but isn't the 27-year sentence for the financial crimes? Am I missing something here?
DC's policy for non-jury court to be dressed out in restraints. He not only faces 27 years, but an additional 40 years in federal court, and he's also indicted for a double murder. So this is a basic security consideration. Again, the intent is not to prejudice anyone. The intent is the security of every time someone is transported out of court. It is a security risk. In the first 2 goals in any escape attempt is to kill and restrain in civilian employees. So I'm here to represent what is basic policy and procedure for inmates serving long felonious sentences with SCDC. I completely understand that we have a jury, the calculations are different, and that is going to be a different thing to do. The remedy for all of that ultimately is the process. It's going to be jury selection, and it's going to be instruction from the court, which the jurors are to follow, and which I know our citizens can.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll take it under advisement and I'll issue an order on that. Let me move on to the DNA. Again, I just received the state's response yesterday at 5 p.m. I read it, and I'm going to save it for the next pre-trial because this is what I want to know. I'd like to know how long, Mr. Griffin, it's going to take to analyze exactly what it is you're asking for.
Ooh, Alec does not look happy. Well, I don't want to wait for your next hearing, Judge. Thank you, Chastity, for gifting 5 memberships. You're amazing. I want to know how long it's going to take to analyze exactly what it is that you're asking for. Earlier, they said 6 months.
And I believe it's genetic.
Yes, Your Honor. And the state's response says, give us somebody to talk to at the lab.
Okay.
So
And
that was conveyed to them this morning. The CEO of Othram's name, email, and telephone number. They have received.
Othram is the lab that they're using. Why does that name sound familiar? What else? What other high-profile trial recently has used the Othram labs? A number of them, I believe. Yeah, he is showing his age, referencing Ted Bundy. He could have said he's no Rex Heuermann, Your Honor.
The VP of Law Enforcement Division at Othram, his cell phone number, and the client intake person that we use now, that I've been interfacing
It's
with.
Koberger.
And
Just
they
one.
will be better able to answer specifically how long it will take. We've agreed to pay for it. And just background information.
I'm going to let you pay for it.
Yeah. And these murders happen.
Yeah,
in
IgG.
2021.
So they specialize in IgG, right? Genetic genealogy. So it might have been also in Rex Heuermann because they used IgG in that too. But definitely, I think it was Koberger. All right, let's keep going.
We're in 2020. These murders happened in 2021. We're in 2026. 2021, there's no such thing as artificial intelligence. In 2021, this genetic genealogy was just on the ground floor. In 2026, we are light years ahead. And so what we're asking for didn't really exist in 2021. It does exist today, and Othram is the leading lab that performs this analysis. They did last year in 2024, the statistics are that they cleared 200 cold cases on behalf of law enforcement around the United States and the country. They work with law enforcement every day. The most high-profile case they did was at the University of Idaho.
Yes.
The Moscow, Idaho murders that took place about the first week of our trial. College kids were massacred in a house at the University of Idaho. They had a DNA sample they ran through CODIS. Came up nothing. There was nothing. The state of Idaho Police Department, like SLED, had a contract with Othram. They sent the test Othram. Othram does this genetic genealogy DNA analysis, and it comes back to a family member who'd done a DNA test, ancestry test, of the person who committed these murders, Brian Koberger. That's how they solved the Moscow murder cases, was through Othram lab. The difference between, and they say they don't have enough samples to get through CODIS, and I've talked to the lab about that, and that's not an issue. CODIS uses analysis called STR. This analysis is SNP, and they call it SNPs. CODIS has 20 data points. SNPs has 500,000 data points that they analyze. Now, it takes a while to do that. And so, we're gonna have to see what the lab says. They've asked me to get information from SLED as to, they'd like to see the electropharogram or mixture proportions so they can have a better handle on it. And I'd asked Mr. Waters to give us a name so that these experts can interface. But what they're doing in Houston, Texas, they don't do in South Carolina at the SLED lab. And there are handfuls of labs around the country, and they are, they're certified. They work with law enforcement. I don't know that they've worked specifically with SLED. They're familiar with SLED when I spoke with them, but they have a whole division.
So you need an expert's name or whoever has this sample to see if there's a viable sample that you can send. That
Correct.
they could send.
And they can work with the extract that SLED used when they did their STR analysis. They can work with that out there. That they told me, but
Mr. Waters, can you give him a name so he can move forward?
That's what I put in my motion, Your Honor, is please give us a name, and I'm happy to have SLED reach out and talk to them about what their supposed capabilities and proposals are and any procedures. And I'm then, once made privy to that information, I'm happy to discuss those with the defense. If for whatever reason we can't agree, we'll come back to Your Honor. That's precisely what I put in my motion is let's talk to, let the experts talk so that my experts can hear, what it is that they propose to do. I'm happy to consider.
and I gave him 3 names and contact information this morning, and I've asked a name that I can send back to my folks. I do want to address this red herring argument. The DNA that we're talking about, Your Honor, came from Maggie Murdaugh's left fingernails. That was tested by SLED with this STR analysis. The DNA sample number 7.
Okay, you got my attention now. DNA under Maggie's fingernails. A lot of people have pointed out to me that she got a manicure or something that day. But I want to hear more about this. Hold on. Was tested by SLED with STR. Oh, we got another one. We got another resident of Lexington County, coffee lover forever and ever and ever. We got 5. We're up to 5 tally marks. Tally ho.
This ST came from the DNA that we're talking about, Your Honor, came from Maggie Murdaugh's left fingernails. That was tested by SLED with this STR analysis. The DNA sample number 70 that we're asking to be tested, it positively was not Alec Murdaugh. Any of the other folks who they took buccal swabs from went through a long list, not them, except for one potential. And that potential, the ultimate result was it's 11 times more an unknown male, so they know it's a male, than it was this person. That's how they do things in their DNA analysis. And Mr. Waters said, well, there's no evidence of struggle, but there was a shell casing under Maggie Murdaugh's body from the gun that killed her. I mean, that shell casing and that gun had to be in very close proximity. Maggie Murdaugh's cell phone was missing from the crime scene. Was DNA transferred at that point in time? And so we don't think it's a red herring. We think it's very important. Now, it may turn out to be, innocuous. We don't know, but it's worth looking into.
Okay, I haven't said no. This is what I do want you to do, though, Mr. Griffin. I want to know how long it's going to take to analyze what it is that you're asking for. And even if I expedite it, I'd like to know how long it's going to take. And I'd also like to know if there's even a viable sample that they can get. And we will discuss this at our next pretrial. Anything, Mr. Waters, you're going to give them the name of the person at SLED that he can get in contact with. Let's see if there's a viable sample.
And the lab has told me if there's not a viable sample, we'll tell you that. But
Right.
they work with a lot less than.
Okay.
but-
Well, let's start with that. Let's make sure we get a viable sample, and then we'll go forward, and we're going to go forward at the next pretrial. I promise you, the pretrial is not going to be that far away. All right. Let me move on to the motion for change of venue. The defense filed a change of venue.
Well, talk to me about the shell casing, okay? Talk to me about the shell casing that was underneath her body. Was there any DNA found on that? Anyone? Yeah, the shell casing could have come from the shots fired at Paul, which was first, but shouldn't there be DNA and or fingerprints on it from whoever loaded that weapon? And the weapons have never been found, right? I don't know. I'm curious. Thanks, Jomar. Honey and Salt says we want new DNA testing on all the things. We want the new test done on the data, especially using AI to sort it out better. Okay.
New motion. The state has not had the opportunity to answer yet. So I'm going to give them time. In the meantime, before our next pretrial, if at all possible, if y'all agree on a change of venue, please give me some suggestions if y'all can agree on it. If you can't, make your own suggestions, and then I will decide for you if we go that route.
Okay, I have more questions now. So two different guns. Paul was shot with a shotgun and Maggie was shot with an assault rifle. Were any other shell casings found other than the one underneath Maggie's body? When Allie says there's not always DNA or fingerprints left on shell casings or any other material, but were they tested? Did they find any? I don't know. I have more questions now than answers.
Able to talk to each other, and we've already talked about this. I think we'll have continuing discussions, depending on when you set your next pretrial.
An answer for me?
Try, if I don't have to keep driving down.
Yes, Your Honor, of course, and without taking a specific position right now, I
Right.
this morning that, we can kick some things around, and like you just said, if we agree, great. If we don't, we'll decide.
That's right. Don't have a problem with that. Okay, perfect. All right, now let me address.
Honey Kid says no fingerprints if you're wearing gloves, right? But if Alec just didn't plan this out and just because they had a lot of guns in their house, right? They had a lot of weapons. The weapons have never been found. Like if he had loaded them a long time ago and stuff, he probably wasn't wearing gloves. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm just spitballing with you, as Leighton has been saying to her grandma. I'm just spitballing with you here. I don't know. Andrew says, I always thought that Alec ordered the hits, but he didn't do it himself. I mean, he's stupid, but I don't know if he's that stupid to do it himself. He got Cousin Eddie to come and pretend to shoot him on the side of the road. Yeah, was he tested for GSR? That's a great question, Carm. Again, I'm looking at this fresh because I didn't really watch it closely the first time. I wasn't even on YouTube.
Yes. I see Mr. McCullough sitting out there. And now let me address. I see Mr. McCullough sitting out there. And then I also have another. They're both the same protective order, but they're wanting two different things.
Ours is not the same as
That's right. They're two different things. Right. As far as, but I think before we go there, Mr. Harpoolian, I believe, Mr. Waters, am I correct in stating that you're working on a response to both of these? There might be some redactions that you wanted.
Oh, hold on.
And you
Hold on. We got a freeze frame on Alec. Oh, here, this is perfect. It's a good freeze frame right here. Look at it when he turns around to look at the camera. If you can come to your screen, come.
correct in stating that you're working on a response to both of these? There might be some redactions that you
Oh,
wanted.
wait. Somebody got in his way. Okay, wait.
Working on a response to both of these. There might be some redactions.
Right there. Oh, it looks could kill. I mean, he looks like a creepy creepy killer, but I have so many questions. 2 different guns? Where are the guns? Where are the weapons? Did they link them to the family weapons? So many questions. It looks creepy to me.
Actions that you wanted, and you're going to submit that to the court? Okay, and I'll be able to address that at the next pretrial conference.
Again, we are generally in favor of those being unsealed, but they will have to be done judiciously and with appropriate redactions to preserve their identities.
Right, because I did, yeah, and I did receive something from SLED, an email from SLED.
General Counsel Alec Murdaugh is present here today, and Sledge.
Where is he? Okay, I did receive your email, and just get me an answer on that, and we'll decide at the next pretrial then. Okay, those were all my bullet points. So let me ask the lawyers, did I miss something? Is there something you would like to add?
One thing Your Honor had mentioned is the location of pretrial hearings. And from the state's perspective, we're happy to come wherever Your Honor happens to be.
Okay,
And we're more than happy to come wherever you are, although this production of these hearings might not dictate, but certainly suggest you come to a venue like Washington County, so there's plenty of room and an extraordinary accommodate everybody.
I think they've done a really good job with security and with the press and being organized. And this is my home county. Let me just ask and throw this out.
This is her home county. It's her home county, and she's proud of it. I like this judge.
Out there, Mr. Waters, is there any objection if we hold pretrial here? The reason being, we have a big courtroom. I already have security set in place. I think the clerks and both clerks and security have done a really good job. This is not the only courtroom in this courthouse, so I won't disrupt holding court in Lexington, which I would not want to do to any county. Sometimes I go to really small counties and I don't think it would be good to hold a pretrial there. Does it suit?
From the state's perspective, and again, being a longtime AG, I've been in pretty much all of them. And as an AG, Lexington is like a second home, obviously.
Convenient.
Solicitors, office, law enforcement, the court, of course, is very accommodating here. So this is certainly, I think, would be of most convenience.
Okay, it's not far for anybody to travel, Mr. Harpootlian? Okay, and I will try to make sure that when we arrange these pretrials that we will try to be here in Lexington. Anything else, Mr. Waters? Defense?
That's all we have, but if we could talk about that schedule for the next pretrial.
Oh, I'm getting ready for it right now.
She's like, I'm on
Let me
it.
tell you what I have. I've gone through my calendar. And so it's hard to get lawyers together, especially when I have this many lawyers. So let me throw some dates out to you.
Have you heard about the Karen Reed wrongful death case and defamation cases? That's a lot of lawyers. I think she has 10 of her own, or 11. This is the death penalty as of right now. Death penalty's on the table for this guy. He's getting a new trial. This is not a lot of lawyers, but I agree. It is very difficult to get a lot of lawyers together for conferences. And here we go with scheduling.
August the 13th and the 14th. July 29th, the 30th, or the 31st.
So in chronological order, the first would be
July 29th.
I'm scheduled to be out of state from the 29th to the 31st.
Okay, then let me move on to August 13th and 14th.
Your Honor, we have a mediation on the 13th. The 14th is available. Yes.
14th works for the state, yeah.
August the 14th it is. That will be our next pretrial. Now, with that said, I'd like to have all motions by August the 7th, if I could. I like to read my motions. I like to be prepared. So if I could have your motions, I understand that some of them are late. You might think of something at the last minute, that's fine, but please don't file something at 10 o'clock at night and expect me to rule on it in the morning. Okay?
I apologize for those coming in late. We had-
No, you're fine.
That was a dig at Waters.
Just to make sure we had something out there.
Mr. Waters, you're fine. I was not planning on ruling on those motions. Now, had I been, I might say something different, but, please don't do that to me, okay? Now, let's talk about a trial date. The only other information I would like to know is how long this DNA is going to take. I would like to know that, but I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm thinking April the 5th. And this being, I'm trying to get through Easter, and I know how hard it is to pick a jury when you've got spring break. That's usually right before Easter. It is the March. Is it the 28th? I think it's just the week. It's March 28th. So I'm thinking April 5th. You know, I know that we'll have a new attorney general coming in. Y'all, Mr. Harpootlian has already told me it's going to take 6 months to get experts prepared and ready to go. That would give the new attorney general time to look at his case in case he's going to be here and join us. And let me tell you this, tell both of y'all, I think y'all know me pretty well. When I set a trial date, I don't do continuances.
Oh, sounds familiar.
I don't do it. It better be a really good reason. So, how does April the 5th sound, Mr. Waters?
Yes, ma'am. So we'll be ready.
Mr. Harpootlian?
We'll be ready with some contingencies if the DNA takes longer, for instance, or,
I will have that information by next pretrial. If I need to extend it out a couple of weeks, I will, if that's the case. Please do not think that this case is going to be tried a year later, because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We're going forward.
more than happy with that. Murdaugh is more than happy with that. I just, again, everything is right, because the science in all these areas is much better than it was 5 years ago.
I understand technology changes overnight. Overnight, I understand. Mr. Griffin, anything you'd like to add?
Yes, Your Honor. The Supreme Court reversed this case on misconduct by clerk of court.
We know.
But the Supreme Court also addressed financial crimes evidence. And depending on how much of that or any of that comes in, will determine the length of the trial in many respects. Judge Newman last time would not rule pretrial on that issue. And it is going to be an issue that we're going to have to brief and argue with Your Honor as to, we don't think any of the financial crime evidence should come in at trial. And so I'm just flagging that it would be helpful to us, I believe, and to know if we're going to have to defend against that during the trial, or are they going to be able to put it up? And so I'm just asking maybe some earlier date where we can have, Your Honor, address those issues.
We will. I'm just going to tell you, I like to address all pretrial matters beforehand, because when I say April the 5th, we're picking a jury and going forward. All those issues should be decided by then.
Your Honor, that's my practice. Well, we filed extensive pretrial motions prior to the prior trial, laying all our cards on the table. It's exactly why we thought that was admissible.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anything further before we adjourn? Mr. Waters? And Mr. Harpootlian? All right, perfect. Have a good evening.
That's it. This case is coming back for trial April 5th of 2027, less than 1 year from now. There will be another trial, and we're going to have a lot to catch up on and a lot to cover. I think we're just going to cover it fresh. We're going to cover it fresh. I don't want to go back in the past because this is a whole new trial. There goes Alec. He's leaving the courtroom. He's a very, very tall man. Look at how tall he is. He's dwarfing everyone. Somebody said he looks healthier in prison than he's ever been. Yeah, because you know what? Opiates will do that to you. He's been clean since he's been in there, as far as I know. And so this case is coming back for trial. We're here for it. Let me know if you're here for it. He's 6'5", Josie says. All right, please vote in the poll if you haven't voted. Let's see how many we have. Well over 2,000 votes. And let's go to the chat. We've got at least 5 people in the chat from Lexington County where this case is going to be tried, who are in the potential jury pool. And so I'm so interested to hear what you guys think. Here's the poll again. If you haven't voted yet, I'm going to read it to you. Do you think Alec Murdaugh is A, hella guilty, B, absolutely not guilty, 3, guilty, but I think there's reasonable doubt, so he shouldn't be convicted, or 4, I have an open mind? And I'm going to point out again that if you didn't watch the first trial like me, I'm not invested in the first trial at all. You should have an open mind because everyone, even a guy like Alec Murdaugh, whose conviction has been vacated, by the way, deserves the right to a fair trial and a jury who has an open mind and has not already made up their mind. This is very funny. Hold on a second. Audrey said, can we get a picture of Statler Waldorf to put in the corner for Jim and Poot? First of all, I'm like, who's Statler Waldorf? But I think you meant Statler and Waldorf. So I found it. Here's the Muppets that she is referring to, which go back many, many years to like Milton Berle, I think. Here, check this out. And that is funny. And yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to allow it. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you for that. That is a deep cut of a reference, but I mean, it's kind of perfect, right? Kind of perfect. I'm going to give you guys more time to vote because we're coming back here at 4:30 for show number 2, which I'm going to teleport you over to after this. It's very funny, right? Mom Bear says, hi, Mel. Love to hear you. Had the best trip with your Poppet. Thanks for covering everything you do. You're the best. P.S. I just sent you an email. I love you. I love you too. I don't have time to read all my emails. I mean, I read them. I can't respond to them all from the Muppets, right? That is fantastic. So thank you. You get all the credit. All the credit on this one goes to Audrey. Audrey. Brian says, autopsies are problematic. 2 different weapons equals 2 different shooters most commonly. The shotgun wound description from the medical examiner doesn't work with the shotgun load used. And that's a very interesting point. Maybe they'll have a better expert this time if they didn't have an expert on it the first time, saying defense. And then Nicole chimed in, the mystery is where the heck the 2 different firearms went afterwards. Dancing Quinn said Alex used to own almost everyone in that courthouse. And before him, his daddy and his daddy's daddy. Right. The corruption runs thick and deep in the Low Country. Gravel Gertie said this was a mercy killing. Pawpaw was going to jail for the death of Mallory Beach. Thanks for your opinion. The one that got away said he even made up a pet name for his son on the stand that he had never used before. He's gross. Keep him off the stand. I don't think he'll testify in trial number 2. You can let me know what you think. And also, has it been shown that he never used the name Pawpaw until he got on the stand? Or was it questionable? Pat Ray says OnStar saves location data if you have a subscription to their service. Karen didn't have OnStar. I think that's the difference. Okay, I'm sure somebody will dive deep into that. Sheila said it's pretty hard to disregard his voice in his son's video. 100%. The cops did a little better than MSP with the scene, but not much. Thanks, Sheila. Sup, Bo says he also greets everyone with Sup, Bo. That's right. Overruled. Sit down. Thanks for your 5. Says, why is there no follow-up from the prosecution office? They didn't know they had open subpoenas. I don't know which case this is from earlier today, so I'm not sure which case you're talking about. If it's Murdaugh, Maybe it's rhetorical. Thanks for your 5. Holly Johnson says, I've had serious withdrawals from you. No one reads and explains the filings like you do. Oh, thank you. I know you enjoyed your vacation. Do you miss us as much as we miss you? Of course, I always do. I always do, but my kids are always going to come first. My kids are always going to come before YouTube, always. It's just the way it is. Do you miss, let's face it, Melanie, little addiction is real. Oh, thanks, Holly Johnson, for your 10. Taillight Fairy says, Alec didn't want to face his wife and Paul was going to go to prison. That's why he did it. A lot of people think that as far as the motive is. As far as the motive goes. May June Books Christine says he discovered his son and wife and told the cops on the camera that he touched them, but he had no blood on his white t-shirt. Gravel Gertie says, Mel, you must analyze the Mallory Beach case along with the murder case. They are intrinsically related. I did do at least one video on it. It's in the Alec Murdaugh playlist. And I think it was, I analyzed the lawsuit and there was a settlement, I think, at the time of Parker's. It was many years ago. Not many. My channel's not even 3 years old. So it's within the last 3 years that I did it. Sup Rosa says, I do hope they can still use the roadside incident this time. That sealed the deal for me personally. Yeah, that was Cousin Eddie, right? You're talking about Cousin Eddie? Lisa says, Melanie, do you think that they will visit the property again? I don't know about if they'll go to Moselle. Probably. I think it's important for the jury to see how far away the kennels were and how big that property was. But remember, it was on the market. It has since been sold because we did look at the Zillow listing not that long ago. And so I believe it is sold again, and it's going to depend. But I think it's essential to go to Moselle. I do. Maggie May said, I watched the first trial. He's guilty. The evidence is just too much to overcome. Thank you, Maggie May. Salty Mom says, I disagree that it's short for boy. It is Beau, B-E-A-U. That's going back to sup, Beau. Mother Marcia said, I live in South Carolina. The majority of us think he's guilty. We addressed that earlier. Charm says, according to Google, Beau means boy, bro, or bud. Thank you. A lot of discrepancies on that. Oh, somebody said, I think I heard the dog kennels have been torn down. And Moselle, Sheila says, Moselle's at least 3 hours from Lexington County. Still sleepless in the Onyx Night says, I watched all the first trial. I was certain of his guilt, but not certain of many of the details. When the details are missing, it just makes me nervous. The one that got away says, it's not intimate. Bro is intimate. Beau is intimidation. Okay. A lot of Southerners chiming in on Beau. Charissa says, Alec can be unlikable and still innocent. Trying to keep an open mind. Thank you for that. Jazzy Girl says, I watched the first trial. I'm not sure he killed them. Thanks for being here for 22 months. Liz B said, if he has a tablet and contraband cell phone, he could absolutely get to the internet through the tablet. They don't have Wi-Fi though. Does that matter? I don't know. I'm not a technology expert. Becky says, Sarah Boone had a laptop that had no Wi-Fi access. Holly Johnson says the video that Paul took with Alec in the background 3 minutes before both Paul and Maggie took their last breath, he had to get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth and get back to the house to not hear the shots fired. Guilty. But was there ever a solid 100% time of death? Right? So, oh, it's confirmed that the kennels are gone. Okay, they were raised, says a tiny man. I don't know. Has it been the time of death? Has the time of the gunshots been confirmed? I don't know the answer. I generally don't know the answer. I'm asking. The two different gun thing is interesting to me. New Jersey Kathy says, Melanie, the issue is he's in prison, not jail. Yes, I'm aware. Jail has a different rule book. Yes, I'm aware. Plus, they don't trust him or his roommates. He has roommates? He doesn't have his own cell? What? You mean the other prisoners? Oh, well, that's true. Rex Sherman was in county hold up. County lockup, awaiting his trial. So, but again, New York, South Carolina. Holly Johnson, thanks for your 5. 0 chance he skates with Paul's video. Forget all the financials. I researched everything I could get my hands on from the first trial. And that's why I'm asking, is there a lockdown time that the gunshots were fired? I'm just genuinely curious about that. So Holly, if you know that answer, let me know. For me, speculation's not good enough, you know, because he left for some period of time and then came back, he says, and found him dead. I don't know. Is he stupid enough to hire people to do it, but not actually pull the trigger himself? Jen says, guilty AF before going into new trial with an open mind. Oh, I thank you. I commend you for that. Virtual juror says, Murdaugh is in McCormick Correctional. Thank you for that. Mike Stevens says, this was too professional of a hit. Alec is an airhead. Kimberly says, Poot is showing his age, referencing Ted Bundy. Yeah, he could have said he's no Rex Heuermann. Elf said, I had a reasonable doubt first trial. Sled. Ugh. Thanks, Elf, for being here for 29 months. Peace and Plenty said, I thought he was not guilty. I'm reading The House of Murdaugh by the housekeeper, and she has said for a long time that he had help. Laura Riker says, I believe the killer that Alec hired is still out there. Ali in Texas says, Othram Labs was used to identify Gilgo Beach victims. That's right. Gilgo Beach victims, as well as on Rex Heuermann. Listen to Kevin. Kevin's here. Kevin Dorr. He says that he lives in Lexington County and he was in the jury pool before this judge and courtroom last November for a murder case and was not picked. Oh, so you're going to be excluded because usually you get like a 6-year pass if you serve, even if you're not picked, if you show up. So you're probably not going to be in the jury pool this time. I'm just wondering what you think, Kevin. Mimi says, Dr. Barbara Ray Venter invented DNA tests that identify the Golden State Killer. She's in Nashville, and Othram uses her product. She's a worldwide expert in DNA. Get her. Thanks, Mimi. Jane Q. Public says, what I really want to see is a public trial for the clerk costing millions in tax money. That's a true injustice, regardless of Alec Murdaugh. Laura says, I'm still laughing at the expert tossing a phone around his office and the coroner who determined time of death with his finger in the armpits. Oh, that's how they determine time of death? Buffoons, she says. Elizabeth pointing out Paul was shot with a shotgun, Maggie with an assault rifle. Pretty pleased with Sugar on Top says there was no DNA on the shell casing. It was from a blackout which ejects spent shells quite a distance. Alienated Sharpness says, I just rewatched the appellate arguments last night. He was tested for gunshot residue. Many of you said that he took a shower. Yep. That he conveniently showered between the murders and finding the bodies, says Chelsea. Would that, I got to add this, another question for Ed Wallace. If you take a shower, does it get the gunshot residue off 100% or not? I don't know. I just don't know the answer to that because I'm not a forensics expert, but Ed Wallace is. Rebecca from Arkansas says there were multiple shell casings at the scene of a 300 blackout. Maggie was shot at close range too. So a casing being under her wouldn't be odd. No, I'm not saying that it would be odd, but what I want to know is, was it ever tested for DNA? That's what I want to know. Georgia Jules Rules says, whether he paid someone or did it himself, he's still guilty of murder. Thanks, Georgia. Kelly says he was tested for gunshot residue, but he grabbed a shotgun waiting for law enforcement to come after he found them. Julie said he got rid of guns while driving to his parents' house to establish an alibi. Interesting. I knew that. The one that got away says he's a high-profile person whose family has been protected for many years. Why else did they all show up at the hospital the night of the boat crash? That's a great question. But again, the reason that he showed up at the hospital the night of the boat crash is because he wanted all those kids to change their stories and say that Paul was not driving. That's exactly why he did it. He probably also wanted to refer them all to his buddy to represent them like he did with the sons of Gloria Satterfield. Yoda's Green Wiener said they should drain the ponds on the property. They will find the firearms there. The Watcher says the fact that it was 2 different guns is the reasonable doubt for me. Now, would he have switched guns? Or how would he have switched guns that fast? That's another question that I have. Like, why has nobody found the guns? If he's in prison right now, why are they not looking for, or have they looked? I have questions. Leah said it took a Secret Service years to get into Paul's phone after they finally used his birthday to unlock it. Really? Really? Rusty Buckle said, I don't trust the state and law enforcement. He may have been involved in bad stuff that put his family in danger. I think he was set up. That boat accident stuff is fishy. Thank you, Rusty Buckle, for coming in with a fresh perspective. I got to know, it says, theory, guns buried with Alec's dad died at the same time. Thank you for your super chat. I got to know it. Blackbirder says, Paul was shot first, close range with a shotgun, puts it down and has to shoot again because Paul got up. Rifle for Maggie, who came running to see what happened. Thank you very much for your 10. Elf said, Alex was charged as the single shooter in his first trial. Doesn't that make a difference? They could change their whole defense theory the second time around. So you're 5, Elf. EASKELS became a new member. Oh, that reminds me to tell you that for anyone outside the US, YouTube is changing its pricing for membership, and they're going to jack it up because of exchange rates and other bullshit. So if you are not a member and you want to become a member, my lowest level tier of membership is $3 a month. So it's $2.99 a month. And they're going to keep the pricing for current members the same for a period of time. I don't know how long, but they're jacking up all of the international membership rates come August, but you'll be grandfathered in if you have a membership already. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not begging for members, but if you want to become a member of the channel, it bills you automatically $3 a month at the lowest level. And you don't have to think about it. It's a great way to support the channel. Although YouTube takes 30%, but whatever. People like to have a little cupcake next to their name, and we have member emojis and stuff. And it's time to do a members only. I haven't done one in a really long time, but we should do another one soon. Tinfoil Hope says, I didn't watch the first trial. I'm interested to hear the evidence. Thanks for keeping an open mind, for being here for 25 months. Lauren says, looking at this case differently after watching Karen Reed and seeing the blatant corruption and the prosecution trying to win at any cost. Interesting perspective, Lauren. Thank you for your 5. Betsy, thank you for your Venmo. XOXO. Kyla, thank you so much for your Venmo. Says, I'm glad you ladies enjoyed your trip. I only like getting my info from you, so I waited patiently to hear it from all of you regarding last week's shenanigans. Listen, there's some new shenanigans too. Has anybody talked about Meredith O'Neill potentially being charged with felony wiretapping? Somebody sent it to me. There's a court docket open on it. I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet, but I will. Janet, thank you very much for your Venmo. Appreciate you so much. Everyone, if you haven't voted, the poll is still open. Terry says, thanks for always making my day on Venmo. Thank you so much. Never Zen Jen. Never Zen Jen. Thank you for becoming a member. Hang on for 1 second, because oh, the Gilday papers are in too. He's not happy. All right. Did they put in the, because Karen Reed's team was supposed to file something by noon. Year of Crash Daddy says, I've loved every moment of your channel, Melanie. Much love. Oh, I love you so much. I love you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, there's going to be a hearing on Wednesday. Judge Gilday is not happy again. Rebecca from Arkansas said there's plenty of water around to put the guns in. If he left them at his mom's, he could dispose later. But why haven't they found them? Wouldn't that help their case? Shouldn't they be out there looking for him? I don't know. I'm just thinking, just spitballing with you. Oh, Alvin Campbell got life. Oh, good. Good. Charlene said, who? And Karen Reed charged with what? Well, somebody sent me an email this morning, one of my very good sources, saying that Meredith O'Neill, who is Aidan Carney's ex-girlfriend, was charged with felony wiretapping. Hold on. In Leominster, Massachusetts. Hold on. Yeah, I've got what is this? I have to look at it more closely, but there's docket entries. Thanks to Tiff for always getting the info. So this is going to be explosive. I have a feeling. He talked about it this morning. Okay, cool. I was listening to his Bus Stop Live. I didn't hear the whole thing, but I listened to it. But you know, they don't always charge everybody just because people complain, especially Aiden Carney. They don't give a shit what he has to say. But apparently, she did indeed get charged. Wow. No, I mean, it's in there. I mean, it's in the docket. There you go. Oh, sorry. My lowest is $3.99. Okay, $3.99. Thanks, Charlie Blue. Well, I don't know what part of the country you're in. I thought it was $2.99, but maybe it's $3.99. And also, I think if you join on your laptop, it's less. If you join on your phone, it's more because they charge a VIG for the Apple charges a VIG for the YouTube app. So anytime you do anything, anytime you want to buy anything from an iPhone, always do it on your laptop because they charge a VIG for the App Store. It's weird, but they do it. She's been charged with a felony. And now he's worried that she's going to retaliate. Oh, okay. Overruled. Sit down. Any chance you can get Mark Betterow to come in and talk about his crazy cases before Massachusetts? What do you mean? Mark Betterow was just on with me very recently. He's been on with me all the time. You mean the cases that he handled before he came into Massachusetts? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do that sometime. Sure. He's got a lot of good stories. Jules K became a member. Mima Love 4 became a member as well. It's $2.99 on Android, right? Yeah, maybe you may be in a different part of the company. I mean, in part of the country, but I thought it was $2.99. Yes, that's true. That is true. Because Apple takes a cut. So if you do it on your phone, even for super chats, Apple takes 25% off the top. Then YouTube takes 30%. So the YouTuber gets 45% of whatever it is that you are actually super chatting or in other ways, such as like that. People are saying it's cheaper on a desktop. Here's the thing that I didn't realize when I scheduled the 4:30 live. Hang on for 1 second. Here's what I did not realize. I scheduled live for 4:30 for Tully. I didn't realize that Sean Ellis is going to be on Defense Diaries at 5 o'clock. So I'm in a little bit of a pickle here because I think that you all want to watch Sean Ellis, right? That is the trial for defendant that Rosemary Scapiccio represented. I don't know how long their interview is going to be. And so I'm wondering if I should push my live on Tully to a little bit later, but that makes me feel bad for my across the pond viewers. So let me know what you think. Mass Mom, thanks for becoming a new member. You just say yes. Yes. I'd rather talk Karen Reed. I think he has his, yes, you push. It's a tough one. I know. And they've had this scheduled for a couple of days. I didn't see it till today because, as you know, I've been across the pond. Many of you would love to watch Sean Ellis. I say keep it at 4:30. You can watch it on replay. You can watch me on replay too. But I just want to alert you to the fact that Sean Ellis is going on Defense Diaries at 4:30. So I will not be upset if you go watch that and watch me on the replay. Okay. I understand it's a conflict. I usually don't care. Who is on at the same time as me. And I would never reschedule something. I want to give you the option. And so I didn't know this was happening until now. And so in good faith, I'm going to tell you that Sean Ellis himself is going to be on Defense Diaries at 5 p.m. Eastern. I will keep my show at 4:30, but I will not be upset if you watch me on replay and go over there and give them all the love and watch Sean Ellis. Okay? Fair enough? Okay? So I'm going to come back at 4:30. I'm going to teleport you over to the 4:30 stream now. But once again, go watch Sean Ellis if you want to on Defense Diaries. And, just go give him a thumbs up. Do whatever you got to do. I didn't realize there was a conflict until literally just now because it just popped up on my phone as a reminder that Bob posted that they're doing it. Okay. I love you guys. He is the subject of Trial 4 on Netflix. Yes, Mom, thank you. And Pamela, thank you. All right. I love you guys. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. If you want to go watch Sean Ellis over on Defense Hours at 5, I'll remind you again when I'm live. But I already scheduled this for 4:30, and it's hard for people across the pond because it's already 9:30 p.m. for them. And sometimes they stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning to watch me, which is amazing because you guys are all amazing. And I love each and every one of you. I'm going to teleport you over there now. So to my 4:30 show. So buckle your seatbelts. We have a lot of things to cover at 4:30. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. We got to look at the poll. Thank you. Hold on. If you guys didn't remind me of everything, I would forget everything. All right. Continue to vote right now. I'm going to give you 1 more minute to vote on the Alec Murdaugh poll and what you think about Alec Murdaugh being guilty or not guilty. Oh, thank you, Bruce, for your compliment and your Venmo. I appreciate that so much. All right. We have the poll currently sitting at, I'm going to bring it over here, almost 2,500 votes. So get your last votes in. Do you think Alec Murdaugh is hella guilty? Absolutely not guilty. Guilty but reasonable doubt, or I have an open mind. And I'm going to end the voting. Let me get 5 more votes and we'll have 2,500 votes. 2 more votes. We need 2 more votes. Vote. Okay, we're over 2,500 votes. And here is the end of the poll. Well, I just ended the poll, but it didn't pop up for me what the results were. Okay, here we go. 57% of you said Alec Murdaugh is hella guilty. 26% of you said I have an open mind. Guilty but reasonable doubt was at 13%, and only 4% were at absolutely not guilty. Okay, so very interesting. Hella guilty, 57%. And 26% of you have an open mind, 13% guilty but reasonable doubt, and absolutely not guilty at 4%. All right, and we'll see if that changes as we go through this. Let me screenshot this for now so that I can remember these results later. All right, buckle your seatbelts. I'm going to teleport you over to my 4:30 stream about Tully and all things Karen Reed, because I'm sure there's a lot to catch up on, and I have about 400 emails to go through since just this morning, so I'm going to go do that now. All right, you guys, I love you so much. I'll see you real soon. We're getting there. Tully has his fingers in everything. He really, really, really does not want to be deposed. All right, thanks, mods. I love you. I'll see you at 4:30. Peace.